Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, this is Lithium017 bringing you collecting tip number 22 called Spotting Fakes. eBay is supposed to have a strict policy about not selling fake items or replicated items, and you can actually search for this copyright law, I guess, on eBay. But I wanted to give you some tips and pointers about 4 different things: consoles, controllers, sealed games, and games themselves. And I won't go through everything because this is going to be my longest collecting tip, but very informative, so I think you should watch this. Consoles can be faked, and normally consoles are very easy to tell if they're fake. It doesn't look like a real console. If your friend has one, just compare it. There's a Super Nintendo mini version that I will post the link to below, and many of the mini versions are actually faked. So how can you tell this kind of stuff? Well, there's a great link below to kind of educate yourself about that. I would do it myself, but I don't have a Super Nintendo that's a mini yet. I did post my own video about making a fake Daiei console and how to spot the difference, because the orange of a Daiei console is different than the orange of a Fire console or a Fire controller. Here is a Fire controller and a Daiei controller, and they're slightly different oranges, and you can definitely tell. A trained eye can tell these kinds of things. A normal N64 controller, like this one, will say Nintendo at the top. If you actually buy a fake one, sometimes the ones that look very close to authentic, they don't even say Nintendo at the top. Right away you know you've got a fake. For Super Nintendo controllers, sometimes you get a controller and you think it's real, but right here, this color, it actually starts peeling up. It's a sticker. That's obviously fake. If Nintendo wouldn't actually release it, you think, because of the quality issue, it's a fake. With other controllers, such as Wii controllers, there's a few fake ones out right now. You can definitely just, compare it to your own controller. Compare it to one that you know is real, and just tell the difference yourself. Sometimes they change over time, like the Wii Motion Plus included inside, but you should be able to tell. So I'm not going to go through everything, but now I'm going to move on to sealed games. I don't collect that many sealed games, just for this reason itself. I can't tell the difference between most sealed games, especially online when you're buying them. If I can buy it in person, that's the only way I bought my sealed games, then usually I can trust who I'm getting it from. Just to give you some tips though, this is a sealed Kirby's Adventure. If it has the flap, that does not mean it's a legitimate seal. Anyone can buy these little flaps, so don't tell it's a legit seal just by that little flap. But for NES games, you're going to look for, usually, it's almost always this H seal at the back, horizontal seal, that's pretty damn straight. But the side seal there, you can see how that kind of curls where it comes together. It's not a perfect 90-degree angle. If it's a perfect 90-degree angle, it's probably done by a more recent machine, and it's probably a fake. So that's one way to tell with NES games. Also, you're going to want to look at the top of the box. Normally, every single time you open the game, some paint will fly off, basically. It's so minor, but if you're opening the flap is going to, the first time especially, cause some of the paint to chip off. So look at that, and if it looks really nice and flush, then it's probably more of a sealed game, or at least you can be more sure. But then I get into N64 sealed games, and this one is authentic. There are so many different seals for N64 games that I don't even keep track of them. This one has like the vertical seal, but since there's so many, it's so hard for me to tell because they did vary. Sometimes when the games are actually in Mexico when they're made, they have a different seal than when they're made other places, so it's hard to tell. But for GameCube and Wii games, just feel it. This one obviously says used, so right away you know it's obviously fake, but I just mean the plastic of this one feels cheap. It doesn't feel legitimate, it's not really a tight seal, it looks fake, it feels fake, then it probably is fake. Here I do have a legitimate copy of Metroid Prime Trilogy, and this one has an actual seal on it. The other one here is opened, but seals for these kind of games are not that difficult to copy as well. But I'm looking for like these kinds of stickers, and anyone can put stickers on it, so I only really buy from someone I trust, especially for sealed games. Educate yourself as much as you can. You can definitely do some Google searches and figure out some of this stuff on your own. What about boxes, though? I know for a fact this is a for display only Super Nintendo Mario RPG box, and this one's just the regular one. I know for a fact that for display only boxes, the text is not as clear. That's just the way they were made. If we look at the back of this one, that's authentic. If you look at the seal of quality, it looks golden, bright, and shiny, and very, very clear print. You can see how clear all of this print is. Then we're going to compare it to this one. See how the Nintendo seal is no longer shiny, really, and the text is just not as clear. I know I'm moving around a little bit, but trust me, you can definitely tell. If the text looks like your eyes are a little bit blurry, it's probably a fake. That's a very easy way to tell, especially with any sort of boxes. For games such as Game Boy games, like Pokemon Red here, and Game Boy Advance games, they always have some sort of Phillips screw there at the top. If it doesn't actually have the screw, then it's a fake. Also, you're looking always at the Nintendo name right there. It should always have an R in the top right-hand corner, or a TM. Right now, the most common faked game are definitely DS games. You're going to want to look at the sticker, you're going to want to look for this little Nintendo seal of quality always on it. But most importantly, the back there, that ship. You can see in the green there's some lettering there, and it's hard to make out exactly what it says, but there's a code. If the code says Nintendo and it doesn't say whatever that code says, they're all going to be different per game. But if it actually says Nintendo, then you have a fake. Spelling mistakes, huge tell of a fake. Definitely look and compare your games to real games, or games that you know are real, when you're trying to figure it out. I'm going to post a link about how to spot DS games because it's very, very helpful below the video. Essentially, when you're looking at fakes, or when you're looking at replicated items, you're going to want to look at several things. I'm going to post them right here in a list. First, look at the location. If it's from some place like Hong Kong, and the deal is just too good to be true, it probably is a fake. No disrespect to Hong Kong, but they happen to have a lot of replicated items. You're going to look at the quality of the item. Just feel it. Does it feel like Nintendo actually made it? Does it feel, if it's a console, is the plastic hard? Is it soft plastic? Is the quality of the print legible? Next, you're going to want to look at the Nintendo seal of quality. Make sure that it's very, very clear and that there's also, a little R or a TM at the right-hand side of the Nintendo little symbol. And lastly, when you're in doubt, ask an expert. Ask someone on a forum, or ask someone online that you trust, or a friend that has the eye for it. There is always someone with a better eye, so it's always better to ask someone that knows better. Forums are actually kind of self-governing the Nintendo World Championships card that are worth like $10,000. They actually can tell when they're fake, so if someone tries to post one that's fake, right away all of them are reporting the item on eBay. You can report a fake item on eBay. On the right-hand side, just below the pictures, it says report item, and you can actually report it as a replicated or fake item. So right now, I think in the N64 collecting world, we're going to start doing that a lot more and start policing ourselves to try and just track what's real, what's authentic, and what's not. So that is collecting tip number 22, a pretty long tip, but very, very helpful. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Feel free to subscribe.